come va a vedere. So Maureen and I might go over there Saturday morning.
Not tomorrow?
No, because I have a 10 o'clock interview and 1 o'clock interview, and I want to spend a little time there. I don't know what your Saturday is probably busy.
I don't know.
All right, well, we will keep in touch.
Yep.
All right, okay. It's 8 o'clock.
Ending.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Jan 22, 2026 meeting of Milburn Township Charter Study Commission, which is called to order. Can I do this, Jerry?
Yeah.
In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law of 1975, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on a bulletin board in Town Hall and forwarding to the official designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at the Bauer Center at 8 p.m. on Thursday, Jan 22, 2026. Meeting details and the draft agenda have been posted. All right. I'd like for everyone here to please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Not yet.
Not yet, why not?
No.
Can we do roll call first?
No.
Oh, there's an agenda right in front of me.
Yeah.
Don't mess
You're yelling at the,
Sorry, okay.
you're yelling at the chairman already? I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's why we ran together, because we push each other.
That's right, that's right. All right, I will now call a roll call vote to note those present.
Mr. Miller,
Yes, here.
Dr. Connie here, Ms. Parker Wentz,
Here.
Mr. Jenna,
Here.
Mr. Drucker.
Here. The record will show that we have a quorum for this meeting. Have everyone had a chance to read the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? All right, may I have a motion to approve the Jan 15, 2025 minutes, meeting minutes? What?
2026 meeting.
Yeah, the agenda has it as 25, but it was the 26.
Oh,
Yes, it was.
26, sorry. Sorry about that. 2026. Meeting minutes. Could I have a
I will
motion,
make a
please?
motion.
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, well, in favor?
Aye.
All right. Reports. Are there any commissioners with reports since our last meeting?
I
Dr.
just have a
Khan.
very brief report. So I appeared at the TC meeting and used my public comment period to tell the TC about the Charter Study Commission. They were glad to see that I was there to advertise the meeting, and I don't think they said anything else about it.
Okay. I was gonna read this now.
Wait a little bit.
Wait a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say that we are still conducting interviews and
Is that part of old business?
Yeah, we can discuss that.
Yeah.
okay, all right. Are there any other reports? Nope. Okay. All right, public comment. To speak during the public comment period, please follow these instructions. Ensure your Zoom display name shows your first and last name. Click the raised hand button. You will be called upon in order and promoted to panelist. Please turn on your video when called to speak. Clearly state your full name and whether you are a Milburn resident or a business owner. To facilitate an orderly meeting and permit all to be heard, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. A reminder that the public comment period is an opportunity for residents to share their views with the commission. Commissioners will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the speaking time, but will carefully consider all comments. At the end of the public comment period, questions will be discussed and may be addressed at the chair's discretion. All right, anyone have a Anyone have something to say just yet? We have a second one, so we could, anyone online?
We have one guest, but no hands raised.
Okay, I now close the first public comment period. Are there any comments from the commission regarding any comments made from the public? Since I see none, let's move on. All right, old business and interviews. Dr. Khan, would you please,
Sure.
okay,
So tonight we're going to discuss some of our preliminary findings from interviews with municipal employees. But just to sort of make sure everyone's on the same page, I wanted to give an overview of our current form of government and how it works. So we all have the same common understanding as to what we were actually interviewing to find out. So Millburn has operated under the Township Committee form of government since its incorporation in 1857. This is the oldest and most traditional form of municipal government in New Jersey. There's been a bit of evolution in Millburn's structure over time. While Millburn has always had Township Committee government, the current structure with a strong business administrator dates to the early 1980s. Prior to that, Millburn operated under the traditional Township Committee model, where each committee member was assigned to oversee specific departments, such as police, fire, public works, recreation, with other committee members generally deferring to that member on matters related to their assigned department. This structural weakness was identified as early as 1972, the last time Millburn had a charter study commission. That commission noted, and I'm going to read the quote verbatim from the report right here, no overall administrator. A major deficiency of the Township Committee form of government is the lack of a professional administrator fully empowered to carry on the day-to-day supervision of township affairs. We do have a business administrator who handles many operating details and attempts to carry out duties of a coordinating nature. But he has no authority over the police department, the fire department, the recreation department, the library, or the public works department, which make up a substantial portion of the township workforce, and his powers in other areas are limited. He has little authority to require compliance from department heads, but must rely primarily on the support of the Township Committee and the voluntary cooperation of other township personnel. Moreover, the administrator has been given the additional jobs of township clerk, township treasurer, secretary to the Board of Health, and registrar of vital statistics, all of which may require detailed attention and distract him from any supervisory or leadership role. So that's the end of what they had found in 1972. So in the early 1980s, Millburn chose to address this identified deficiency by centralizing administrative authority under a professional business administrator with full supervisory powers over all departments. Through our research in the Item newspaper archives, we found extensive discussion among Township Committee members at the time about the significant change, whether to consolidate administrative functions and move away from the traditional model of individual committee members overseeing departments. This was clearly a thoughtful and deliberate decision, not taken lightly by the governing body at the time. Since that transition, Millburn has had remarkable stability in this critical position. Only 2 business administrators in approximately 40 years. Tim Gordon served from 1985 to 2016, and Alex McDonald has served since 2012. So just a brief background on the current structure of our election. The Township Committee has 5 members elected at large in partisan elections. Members serve staggered 3-year terms. Elections occur every year with either 1 or 2 seats up for election. Elections are held in November and include primary elections in June. Candidates appear on the ballot alongside other partisan offices. Regarding the mayor is selected annually by committee members themselves, not directly elected by voters. The mayor chairs meetings but has limited independent authority beyond the minimum established by state law. This means that the mayor serves as first among equals rather than as a separate executive. The business administrator is appointed by the committee to handle day-to-day operations. Responsibilities include preparing budgets, managing departments, overseeing contracts, and hiring staff. The administrator works under the committee's supervision and implements policies set by the committee. Critically, unlike the situation described in 1972, the BA now has full authority over all departments, including police, fire, public works, and recreation. The Township Committee holds both legislative power, that is making policies and laws, and executive authority, which is overseeing administration. There is no separation between these branches. All members are elected at large. There's no ward-based elections. And this structure provides for unified governance under a weak mayor system with professional administration. So understanding this baseline and how Millburn deliberately strengthened its administrative capacity in response to previously identified weaknesses is essential as we discuss what municipal employees told us about how the structure functions currently in practice.
And my report is gonna be about the municipal employees. Before detailing specific findings, the commission wishes to emphasize that Millburn Township benefits from exceptionally dedicated and professional municipal workforce. Throughout these interviews, a consistent theme emerged. Employees across all departments demonstrate deep commitment to public service, take genuine pride in their work, and routinely exceed expectations in serving residents. Multiple interviewees spoke of the township's strong reputation statewide for operational excellence, and this reputation is clearly well earned. Department heads described a collaborative environment where interdepartmental coordination functions smoothly. Employees support one another across divisions, and a shared commitment of what's best for the town guidelines daily decision making. The business administrator's leadership was repeatedly praised for providing clear direction while empowering departments to operate with appropriate autonomy. Township employees work overtime, innovate solutions to complex challenges, and maintain residents' responsiveness that sets a high standard for municipal government. The observation that follow should be understood in the context Millburn's municipal operations are strong precisely because of the caliber of its workforce. The structural questions examined by the commission focus on whether the governmental framework maximally supports these talented professionals in sustaining and building upon this excellence. Any recommendations are offered not as criticism or current performance, but as considerations for how the township's form of government can best position dedicated employees to continue their exemplary service to residents. And just may I add that when Joanna Parker Lenz and Dr. Khan and myself, when we were interviewing our municipal employees, these interviews, our lawyer said down in Red Bank, these interviews were lasted maybe a half hour. Ours last an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. And we get so much information, and I just want to say that without going into very specific stuff, which we will, we have a very, very dedicated municipality employees. Joanna?
Oh, Sherry.
Oh, Jerry.
So-
Jerry first.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the interviews that we've done so far. So in pairs, the commissioners conducted structured interviews with municipal employees across multiple departments. So it was either Joanna and me, Joanna and Chris and me. I think I got all three of it. And to date, we've interviewed the business administrator, the municipal clerk, the assistant business administrator, the one who just left us, the police chief and staff, the fire chief and staff, the DPW superintendent and staff, and the recreation director. Interview questions were organized into 6 topic areas. The first being authority, autonomy, and professional management. The second, governing body and political interaction. The third, planning, coordination, and long-term vision. The fourth, budgeting and financial management. The fifth, public engagement and accountability. And the sixth, comparative assessment and recommendations. The following represents preliminary aggregated findings from these interviews. Additional interviews are ongoing, and full interview protocols will be released upon completion of all interviews. So back to the 1972 finding about the lack of a strong business administrator. That was some important context, mainly because our interviews did confirm that the BA reform was critical. So one thing that municipal employees found works is the strong business administrator system. Multiple respondents emphasized the critical importance of maintaining a strong BA structure. There's a quote, "As long as the BA is in charge in the form of government, then all will be good. If there's no strong BA, then it would be the Wild West," end quote. There was also a concerning pattern as it related to the strong BA versus the structure of government. So that mainly came from the structure versus the personalities on the TC. So current TC functioning was described positively with open discussions and members seeking consensus during public meetings. However, multiple respondents emphasized that this depends on who's on the TC and, directly quoted, has not always been true during recent memory, with some noting dysfunction on TCs prior to the current one. The consistent theme across interviews was that Millburn's current form of government works well when it works, but its effectiveness depends heavily on the particular individuals serving on the township committee at any given time. Multiple respondents questioned whether a governmental structure should rely so heavily on the personalities in office rather than providing more built-in stability and continuity. So I'll now turn it over to Joanna to share some additional findings.
Thank you. We heard specifically about TC member preparedness. Strong consensus emerged that TC members face a significant learning curve. It, direct quote, "takes about 3 years for TC members to completely understand how the job works," unquote, covering the full cycles of issues. For example, bond ordinances, budget cycles, various operational matters. One person noted, quote, "There is no training. They have no idea," unquote, when they start. The 3-year term was categorized as too short because the first year, and this is a quote, "The first year they are learning, the second year they start to understand, and the third year they're either running for re-election or a lame duck," unquote. When multiple TC seats are in flux, potentially 4 over the course of 2 years, another quote, "there isn't carryover and projects aren't seen through to completion," unquote. And this led us to the most emphatic finding across all of our interviews: election frequency. Election frequency generated the most consistent and emphatic responses across all of our interviews. Annual elections were described as causing quite a bit of overhead, with constant TC turnover requiring ongoing onboarding assistance. It was pointed out that in the last 10 years, only 2 TC members have served more than 1 term, with a third recently reelected. Multiple respondents described it feeling like it's always election season, with either a general or primary election occurring every 6 months, and that having elections every year causes reluctance to make big changes, end of quote. Several respondents supported the idea of longer terms and more time between elections. One quote was, "Longer TC terms, 4 years rather than 3 years, and more time between elections. More than 1 year versus every year would be better," end quote. When asked what single change could be made to improve the township's governmental structure, the answer was overwhelmingly election frequency. We also heard about how partisanship affects governance. Department heads universally stated that partisanship does not affect day-to-day operations. Departments were characterized as non-political, with multiple respondents emphasizing their neutrality as public servants. Quote, "There isn't a real partisan element to filling potholes or garbage collection," end quote. However, partisan considerations were identified as significantly affecting governance. Quote, "Items get delayed around election time," unquote, "and partisan considerations cause unnecessary divisions. Instead of having a united front on the TC, the meeting gets used to score political points rather than focus on what's best for the community. TC members become," another quote is, "TC members become more contentious around election time due to partisan nature of elections. And the partisanship, particularly around election time, often leads to a show, which can get in the way of what's best for the town," end quote. Multiple respondents felt party labels, quote, "shift the focus away from local issues," and noted that since most township matters are nonpartisan in nature, it's not clear that having a partisan election with party labels is helpful as a signal for how someone might vote once they are on the committee, end quote. So these structural issues, concrete impact on long-term planning. Multiple respondents noted significant challenges with the continuity during transition periods of the TC. A specific specific structural problem was identified. It's the quote. This time of year, December through January, it slows down and becomes tough to get things on the TC agenda. From election time in November until the end of January, when new people are sworn in and a mayor is chosen, we can't do much. Sometimes it's tough to wait through the transition period, end quote. One respondent stated bluntly that long-term planning is, quote, not well supported because of a lack of continuity due to frequency of elections, unquote. Specifically citing the town hall renovation that, in quotes, had been under discussion 25 plus years ago, but stalled because elections happen so frequently and no one wants to take risks and often projects get stopped due to political expediency, quote. And while we are moving on to the mayoral selection, the process has recently become quite contentious, with one respondent noting the process, quote, creates adversaries where there is no need for it. Several interviewees noted to us that there's a lot of hurt feelings, lost trust, and that is not a great way to start each year off. One respondent stated, quote, most people in town don't understand that they don't select the mayor directly, and suggested having a directly elected mayor would allow for more stability rather than continuous changing who is indirectly selected to serve as mayor. Though they cautioned that a strong mayor, quote, is probably not the right choice for our town, unquote. Repeatedly, the staff emphasized that having mayors serve longer terms rather than one-year rotations would provide more continuity and stability for the public. And I just want to make a note that these are preliminary findings from a portion of our interviews. We are reporting what municipal employees told us, not making any recommendations or drawing any conclusions. We have many more interviews to conduct and much more analysis is ahead of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Jerry.
So that's part of this, right?
Yeah, so that's all. And we just did the presentation of the findings, right? All right.
Yeah.
Next item under old business, community outreach, please.
I can address that. We are continuing with community outreach. Every week we get more channels added. In addition to the Workbond listserv and newcomers listserv that give us 2,500 people, I add more and more people through the week as I notice people asking questions, or we have our focus groups that we've met with. So I've added them to the blind copy of the list. So anybody who wants to be added to that, I'll just continue to grow that list as my own personal. I tacked on all the volunteers that we've worked with on rummage sale, anyone who's sort of civic minded and asks questions throughout this process. I can probably add it to my database of clients, which I didn't add yet. I don't want them thinking I'm working so hard on this and not on their houses, but we did have the question suggested last week by Mr. Feld that perhaps we can use the community watch groups. And we did have our meeting with the police department, and there was a little bit of a concern about using the airwaves of the watch groups for something like this, because then we set a precedent for having every community announcement through those watch groups, and it just dilutes the messaging of safety and community stuff. But I think that those are not very big groups anyway. Okay, yeah. So we'll figure out other, I know that you guys are sharing it with WhatsApp groups. I think individually, each of us sharing, and it's being disseminated by the town into newspapers and things like that. I wonder if we also can add, now that we have our dates set ahead, can we add to the calendar of Tap Into? And if we can't, maybe we put a PR piece in there like we did in the beginning, and maybe it's a sort of something static that can be updated. If we lose some, real estate in there, we could just update it and just say invite the public and point them to our website.
I'm happy to do the Tap Into.
That would be kind of good. I think that's our most prominent local online resource. And again, I still go back and forth with the Happy Milburn situation because there are so many people who don't live in the town who participate there. I mean, I would ask you guys again, what you think, because we have not posted it there.
As I said last meeting, no.
I don't care either way, because
No.
it's public information anyway.
Yeah, it's public information, so it's.
Anybody can
But,
look up the
but-
YouTube
Happy Milburn isn't Happy Milburn, and it goes to every other community.
Is there a way to post with comments closed on Happy Milburn? I'm just not.
Oh, I don't know if we can do that. I think the administrators can do that.
Right.
But we can ask the administrators if they can announce the meetings.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's a way to do it, because then there's no crazy commenting or people going off on tangents. It's, sometimes they pin something and there's a static. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Where are we on the South Mountain Civic Association? Because I didn't.
I called Marilee and she would be more than happy to sit down with us. Yes.
But we should
to-
also have
To
her,
promote it,
Yeah,
but she wants to sit down before she'll promote it.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
all right.
she won't even just promote the fact that we have meetings and the schedule of meetings.
Yes, I haven't sat down with her yet.
Okay.
We changed emails.
Okay,
You know.
all right.
All right. By the end of this commission, I'm gonna know this by heart. Public comment. To speak during the public comment period, please follow these instructions. Ensure your Zoom display name shows your first and last name. Click the raised hand button. You will be called upon in order and promoted to panelists. Please turn on your video when called to speak. Clearly state your full name and whether you are a Milburn resident or business owner to facilitate an orderly meeting and permit all to be heard. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. A reminder that the public comment period is an opportunity for residents to share their views with the commission. Commissioners will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the speaking time, but will carefully consider all comments at the end of public comment. And public comment period, questions and discussions may be addressed at the chair's discretion. Shall we do the folks in the audience first, and then we'll do the folks on Zoom? Okay, any of you folks want to say something?
I'm Jeff Bell. First of all, I want to thank you. And for outreach, you might want to reach out to the Patch and to the Milburn Dispatch, the new, trying to be a news organization to put like the meetings out. I
Is that
really
an
thank you.
online?
What's that, Jeff? Yeah, I saw that. I got a Facebook thing on that. What is that?
It's called Milburn Dispatch. It's coming out of Andrew Trank. He's setting him up in like Springfield, West Orange, I think Union, around this area to be counter to like tap into. If you can, I would recommend, like, you put a legend of it, but to post what you read on the website as you know,
Yes.
was excellent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have, when you were reading the original findings from 1972, the chairman was Thomas J. Moore. And in my career, he was a real influence in the pixie dust and introduction. One of the things you might want to do, I know it's a lot of work, but you might want to use your counsel, is to look at some of the administrative code, like Article 2. Because some municipalities look at state best practices, and like some of the comments that was coming from the municipal employees, feeling that the people on the local governing body didn't have training, they make it as part of like an ordinance, recognizing like the Board of Education, like if you're on the planning board or zoning board, that it's mandatory that you take some educational courses. Rather than saying, you know, voluntarily saying, if you want to serve, you're gonna have to do this. Because I thank Jamie, because I think Jamie, one of the, in their bank, because you've gone down to legal municipalities, you've taken the intro courses where other TC members refuse to do that. And I welcome that, but it may be a structure, in the structure of the administrative code, that everyone recognizes if you're gonna be an elected official, you need to have an education, which mirrors what, if you're serving on the Board of Education, a housing authority, or a planning or zoning board. But I really welcome the comments that were made.
Ben?
Okay, Ben Stoller, Milburn, Short Hills resident. I just echo those sentiments. I think, you know, even those preliminary findings, very, very good. I can't tell you, you know, and thank you guys for the service you're providing to the town. I know it doesn't always get said, but have now sitting on the other side, understanding the amount of time and commitment, the amount of work that's done. We appreciate it as a town, to all you guys. In terms of echoing it out, I would also look at the library as well as the Explore Millburn, Short Hill. You know, this is the third meeting I've been at tonight, by the way.
Right, we
Right.
just.
I just did three.
Steve is on my list actually,
Yeah,
on
so I
my
would
final
Steve
BCC,
Grillo,
I sent it to
If
him.
you get any pushback, let me know, but also the library as well, because it's gonna affect everyone. It's so we should try to reach as many people as possible. And once again, just thanks.
Yeah, you know, I would say,
Say
thank
your
you,
name.
Jamie Ceruto, lifelong Millburn Short Hills resident. Thank you all for stepping up for our community. I did join some meetings watched online, but it's great to be in person. You know, Ben and I just came from a couple meetings. I had Shade Tree earlier today, great different. And you know, you see that it's an education. I'm the newest member, right? And I think on the township committee, but the truth is, there is so much confusion within the community, whether it be on the campaign trail or whether it be now on, you know, the mayor, how the mayor is chosen, what the mayor's role is, you know, and in particular, it's residents who are moving into the community from larger cities where the mayor is the chief executive, or in communities where they might not have a mayor. You know, in New England, there's supervisors, there's different titles, right? So there isn't a lot of education. So I think that's one thing, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting seeing elections every single year. You know, at least in my experience being involved over the last my whole life here, actually, you know, just seeing the sort of the revolving door. You know, it just doesn't make sense. You know, you get 1 year's a federal election, 1 year's a state election. At least you get a break every other year on those categories. Every single year a local election. It's just exhausting.
And the thing you said, Joanne, about understanding, I'm on 8 different committees, and it takes a year to understand what's going on inside that committee. I cannot, you know, say that enough, is that once you start to get through to it, you're up for election again. So now you've got a firm grasp, everything's going great, everything's working, you understand it. It does. So I think I would reiterate that point as well, because, you know, it is getting up to speed quickly. And also too, I don't even want to dwell on this, but the level of competence of people in the township committee seats needs to be some kind of, it's not a popularity contest. They have to have the competence and the ability, intelligence to be able to understand these issues and work them through, because they are fairly complex and they're all intertwined.
Yes, and to Jeff's point and your point, Ben, when I was on Wall Street, you know, before I got a seat, I had to take a course, and then we always had continuing ed every 6 months. So that's a very good point. And
They're paying you for that, though.
what?
They're paying you for that. It's hard enough to recruit people and then send them to like a 2-year course.
They say, forget what you learned in Wharton, we're gonna tell you how we do it.
But
Yeah.
that's a good point, Joanne, because
Yeah.
it does create that most popular person type complex where you're not getting paid to do it. I mean, it's insane the amount of hours we spend doing this, and you guys can see just from the work you're doing here. And there has to be some certain level of commitment, service, love for the community to do it. But you have to understand what you're doing, and pull it all together. And there's so many moving parts.
We have heard that some past TC members didn't even open up the freaking packet.
We know.
Oh, well, and that's the other thing too. So we made a point of it, professionalism, civility, and
Right.
education. You have to read the packet before the TC meeting. You're not learning that on the night of the TC, which
Exactly.
in the past was done. No one,
Right.
you get surprised by what's in there.
And just going further, when Corey, Bill, and Chinook Tanner, when they start going to different townships and municipalities, we are gonna look big time into the election cycle and, you know, the mayor, blah, blah, blah. And, but I thought these, interviews were really, really helpful in formulating our thought process.
And I apologize if I missed this, but did you interview any of the business leaders as well, the owners of La Pergola, of
No.
Paramita. I mean, that might be good too, because they're paying taxes. These are really big, these are business owners, the owners of real estate firms, the owners of the numerous salons.
So we are looking at, we're focused on, taking our guidance from this document that we do have, published on the township website that gives a lot of insight on who should be interviewed, who shouldn't be.
Yeah,
And they
without-
do caution too many interviews, so we're
Right.
trying to be very balanced, but it's this change in New Jersey municipal organization document that is from the Planning and Public Policy section of Rutgers University. And it really has a great guideline on where to go and the practical aspects of who to interview. And there's actually some more people that aren't even business owners, but like some civic leaders that, we're adding more people as we interview others and they're saying, well, how about this and how about that? So if we maybe can add Steve Grillo even to the mix.
I'd be very
We have a
careful, I'd be
survey.
very careful taking anything out of any New Jersey documentation. It's been done, you don't know who wrote it, and even though it's been refined, or say you think it's been refined.
Well, this is what Red Bank used and they had a really great, and our attorney recommended this as
Yeah, but I'm
well.
saying, don't be scared to look outside the box,
Oh, yeah.
think outside the box.
Oh,
Do
sure.
not challenge yourselves, do
Oh.
not be scared to look outside the box. I mean, one of the smartest people I've ever met sitting up there in terms of Jerry, so, there's things you're gonna be able to glean from a lot of this other stuff, don't be scared to take risks.
I do wanna say that we do intend to put a public survey out, so anybody who wants to respond can share their thoughts with us. It doesn't
Yeah,
need to be
that could be
a,
something Steve Grillo
it
puts
it
out
doesn't
for
need
us too,
to be a
to all the business
formal
owners.
interview.
Right, well, I'm just saying, get input, I don't care how you do it.
That's my
Yes,
point.
well, that
We
is.
get input from anyone and everyone who fills out that survey.
We're sending, right, the survey is to get business owners, it's to get everybody, if we don't have a chance to
Everybody has an
personally
interest.
interview you.
Anyone that's disenfranchised taxpayer, whether it's a business owner or even a lot of residents in this town.
Well, you don't have to be disenfranchised either.
No, I'm saying they are paying taxes and they have a right.
That's why the survey exists. We
Yeah.
can't physically reach everyone, but
Yeah, but.
anybody who's interested can give us their
Well, it's
views
first time I heard
through
about the survey.
through
Oh,
the
we
survey.
mentioned it at one of the last meetings that we're putting it together, and it's a pretty comprehensive survey. I think it's going to give us a lot of insight. So I think the more that gets disseminated, we'll be able to parse through the information. And that would be nice for people in the community like Steve Grillo, like the Chamber of Commerce, and other associations. If they can share it on our behalf to get it to their members, people will want to hopefully share their opinions on it.
As you go to phase two, one thing you might wanna look at, I mean, the township just did an updated annual spread of payments. Cause it's coming up in Springfield and I think in Maplewood, that they're increasing the stipend to local elected officials. And you might wanna compare like what we pay, what they receive as a stipend, be more comparable, maybe some of the neighboring communities to draw from people. And
Meaning the higher the stipend, you think you'll have more people.
I think you might, because right now, 12,000, you went to like, I think they're.
We get a stipend?
You get like.
12,000?
Like six.
Six, I think six, other places get 12, like, to make it a little bit more, because you have to go in your pocket a lot of things, just to look, how you attract, to look, because I know in Springfield, which is next door, they're trying to increase the amount, and I think Maplewood is just on it too. We don't wanna be like Maine, where they only pay the assembly people $100 for the whole year.
We just gotta be careful too, that people try to make it a career.
Right, for the motivation, what we do.
So we're not having chiefs of staff look in the urban areas and.
Thank you. Is there anyone from, Zoom?
Anyone,
Up?
see Stephen Shear. Analyst.
Gee, I don't know how to get my picture up there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you. Thank you.
It isn't Stephen, that's my husband. It's BB Shear. I'm a township resident. And I have a question about, I'm wondering if you can present some of your findings or most of your findings in a statistical, empirical way. For example, what I think would be useful would be to know, okay, what was the question you asked? So, we can evaluate, so we can see how the question was posed. and maybe divide into groups like divide between municipal employees and township committee people, past and present, or whatever, and then give a figure for what's the total number in that group? How many responded, for example, that they favored for longer terms for township committee? How many said they didn't? How many didn't answer? Because when it's just the idea, oh, multiple people said this, someone said that, I don't think it gives as good a view of what really came out of the interviews as if we could see something, a little more statistical and empirical. So, I mean, that's my suggestion.
So I can address that. I think this is a type of study that doesn't necessarily lend itself to empirical data, because while somebody could say, I support this or I support that, if they don't have a firm or strong reason behind it, the mere check of yes, I support or yes, I don't doesn't necessarily carry the same weight. Somebody might be very thoughtful in their response to I support this, and somebody who says I don't might not have been thoughtful. So I think there's a lot of subjectivity in analyzing sort of thing. So I appreciate, look, I'm a very fact-based sort of data, I love objectivity, but I just don't know the bang for the buck we might necessarily get, and it might actually throw off the analysis.
Well, can I add to that? This document specifically cautions not weighing one person's opinion, because if we're interviewing a municipal employee, and certainly these were the findings for the general municipal employees, that we all value their privacy, and to take a remark like somebody says, oh, well, I think it should be before your term. They've never been an elected official. They don't really know. They're going by their gut based on how they've been interacting with somebody over the last 30 years in this, type of form of government that we have. They've seen many TCs come and go. They're suggestions. And this particular piece cautions us to take suggestions as merely suggestions and not weigh them. If we're talking to our attorney who has, really great information, right? He's got other studies he's participated in. That's a person we could then say, these are our findings. What do you think? That opinion could weigh heavier on our commissioners, collective opinions. And I do think current TC people that we haven't synthesized the data, and we just started our interviews for the former TC members. So as we formulate that data, I do believe that we can, those specific questions pertaining to years you'll have the data of like 7 people think a 7-year term is ridiculous, but they all think 4-year term is great. So there will be more numbers, and they will come from specifically elected former officials that have had the experience and thought about their service from that back then. So that is data that is absolutely should be shareable. The opinions behind it maybe are less important, but the hard facts, like they think a 5-person TC, and I'm making it up, is fabulous, or 7 is fabulous, or 9 is fabulous. Those are things that I think are important to consider by elected officials that have sat in that seat and understand how that, dais works.
And just let me say, the 3 of us, this was a prelim structure that we did tonight. And when we finalize, we will, as chair, we will give the public specific questions that we asked people. But we are getting so much more information that we are making it unofficial, and I will not, and on Wall Street, as Ben can attest to, your word is your bond. And I told these folks, I'm not going to quote them. And that's how come they give us their information and they open up to us. So I am not going to quote anybody. Dr. Khan?
Well, certainly not municipal employees, right? That's
Right.
And that is what our attorney suggested, that we keep the municipal attorney.
And TC members.
Well, the TC members will have a chance to allow us permission you know, to say this, yes, we're gonna send them what we've taken our notes on, to make sure there's no misunderstanding in how we wrote things, to say, hey, there's some things we'd like to publish in the findings. Can you attach your name to this to say, I said this, you represented me accurately? And at that point, once we get that permission, you know, but certainly the more empirical data, yeah, 4 years, 5 years, 5-person TC, 7, 9, those are all things that we can, I think people can stand behind their word. It's not opinion.
Yeah.
It's an opinion that's based on a fact that they've lived this for 3 years or 6 years or however many terms they've had. They're gonna be okay with their opinions being published with that. But we wanna be careful and we wanna make sure people speak freely. And the answers they give us are important to the decisions that we're making and that the public can share in that.
I think Corey's point about the empirical data for this particular process is less relevant, I would say, because for municipal employees, there's sort of a wide range of their responsibilities, and you know, it's hard to say, you know, 30+ year employee, should they be weighted the same as someone who's been here for 2 years? That's sort of a value judgment that we have to make on our own when we come upon our total findings. So I think for TC, it makes more sense because, you know, everyone has
They've done that role.
They've done that role, it's the same role. I mean, their experiences will be different, and to that end, it does make sense to collect the data, but I think, you know, showing, for the purposes of tonight's discussion, which was preliminary findings from municipal employees, I think, you know, giving
Where
hard
they
and
see the
fast.
defects, like where
Right.
they're seeing it from the outsider's view, they're hired by the TC basically through the BA. And they're watching it, they're watching our meetings, they have opinions, they live in different towns. So it's a great set of opinions to have. It just may not be, you know, they haven't sat there for those 3-year terms and lived that role, so.
Gonna step out. Thank you very much.
Any,
Fanny, where you going?
I don't like that.
Here's the dance floor. This is gonna be his fourth. You're awake, you know?
okay, is there anyone else on Zoom?
There is no one else.
Okay,
Any other questions?
I now close the public comment period. Are there any comments from the commission regarding any comments made by the public, which we already did? But,
So he's like triple lettering here.
oh, yeah, I know. I see
I guess I did wanna clarify, we will be publishing the questions to
Yes.
municipal employees, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we have sort of a working document that we will upload to the website, relatively soon, I wanna say, I mean,
You mean for the municipal?
for the,
employees?
yeah, basically
Yeah.
a written version of what we
Yeah,
said out
absolutely,
loud.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, as-
we
as-
just have one person left and then we could, you know, we'll sit down.
And once those questions go up there, that'll be a great time for people who really care about,
Mhm.
because every single employee has also told us, please come back to us if you have more questions.
Yeah.
Because that's always the ending question. The last 2 questions are basically, have we missed anything and can we come back to you? And everybody overwhelmingly has said, yes, absolutely, come back to us.
It's the other thing too, Jerry, once you're to that point with the surveys, I would do them like we do at the train station, because there's so many people who don't
I
know
was just
about.
like hand it out.
Hand out a little handout, so the QR code saying, hey, this is happening in
survey.
town.
I like
and
that,
you're
that's
gonna get
actually a
so
good
many
idea.
people going into the city, I mean, literally, they don't know about it, they're focused
Fill out
on
a
their
survey.
kids and their homes
If you
and
live
their
in town, fill out a
this.
survey, that's a good idea.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that's
I like
very
that.
fun.
I like that.
You can do like a QR code.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not doing it that way.
You know, the-
Could
put
buy
the
some ad
political
space at
signs
the
up.
train station.
Well, no, everyone puts their political sign up on that building, like just get a sign with a QR code.
Fill out our
charge-
survey.
Yeah,
Find Roger.
put a banner on the train station.
Right. Actually try and find it for a couple days.
Find Roger.
Do we get our faces up? No, I'm kidding.
I don't want that.
Are we closed or?
I just want to ask our council a question. I know 3 people, you know, it's a quorum. It is very difficult for, let's say Joanna and I are interviewing somebody, Jerry and I are interviewing, and then we want to combine, you know, questions, you know, their answers and everything. Is there a way that we could do that without, you know, violating said law?
Without noticing a formal meeting
Yes.
under Oprah.
Yes.
The requirements are clear, unfortunately, we could talk offline about some ways to perhaps facilitate communication, but in terms of a meeting between more than 2 of you, no, that has to be a public meeting.
Is it possible, I know TC handles it in a way, like they notice the meeting, but they have a closed door meeting?
So that applies to the TC.
I got it,
We-
okay.
Yeah, closed room
I-
meetings here would be really for things that, pretty much only things that involve like attorney-client privilege,
Got
and that wouldn't fall under it.
Let me,
And that would
let
make
me,
life easier, you're absolutely right, Joanna.
It would, but-
Let me ask you
then we
this
have to wait
question.
till this moment to discuss it, I guess, but that's good, then the public sees us discussing it,
And that's
right?
exactly the purpose
That's the
of-
whole purpose of it, is so that people see our arguments and,
Yeah, if we
no,
have like a very.
I was alluding more towards, you know, our findings and then coming up with, you know, statements and, you know, stuff like that. So we'd all three of us don't, you know, I don't, you know, I talked to Jerry, then I talked to you.
yes, that's what we have to do.
When
And then
I was
call
on Wall
Cory,
Street,
we play telephone.
Suzanne, when I was on Wall Street, I was an arbitrator for 20 years. And, you know, there were three of us. And when we wanted to discuss a certain point, we had a executive session. So we went into executive session away from the claimant and the respondent. Is there any way that I could say, hey, I want to have an executive session?
So I think that was just Joanna's question with regard to how the TC operates.
Right.
In this forum, we don't really have that opportunity, short of needing to go into a closed session for like a matter of attorney-client privilege. But
If
not
it's like
just
a
for
very
general.
complex technical legal question, that's the.
Exactly, not just for general discussions relating to the business of the commission, because those are all things that under the Open Public Meetings Act need to be handled with the public here.
Well, thank you for that.
Sorry, that's not the most efficient answer.
Okay, that's all I have. May I have a motion to, Jerry, do you have something? Any other commissions, commissioners have something? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? All right. Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, folks on Zoom. Thank you, Jeff, Ben.
Yes.
Congratulations, Indiana.
So,
Way to go.
was there some sort of